As an executive director, you probably juggle 27 different roles in your organization on a given day. And fundraising perhaps doesn't get the attention that it needs. It often gets set aside. And especially when it comes to major gifts, they often get pushed to the margins, even though they could be your biggest source of revenue. Well, today we're going to talk about the importance of systems. Having a system for fundraising is the key to breaking out of your inconsistent fundraising into something that's more predictable. Chaos isn't a strategy. That is our focus on this episode. Let's huddle up. Hey, welcome to another episode of Huddle Up with Mark, the Fun Coach. I'm Mark Duncan. I want to remind you to like and subscribe to this video if you haven't done so already. And of course, I want to remind you of a great resource that I have, which is 5 habits of executive directors who land big gifts. Right below, you can click the link below and download your free copy of this guide. It is getting great reviews and it's been really helpful, to many who have read it. So let's dive in and talk about probably what could be an elephant in the room for many of you. I always talk about major gifts. I always talk about the importance of relationship fundraising and how it is the most successful way to secure dollars for an organization, especially philanthropic dollars, right? Some of you may have fee for service revenue. If you're that kind of an organization, if you have that, that's probably your number one revenue source. But if you don't have that, then your number one revenue source has to be fundraising, right? And if you're not getting major gifts from individuals, you're missing out. You're definitely missing out. So let's talk about why it's important to have a system in place for fundraising, especially for major gifts. Systems, by definition, create predictability, right? When you have a system that is in place and you follow it on a regular basis, you build in this system into your into the fiber of the organization, you are going to see results. So when you have a system, you're building a strong major gifts pipeline, you're building a strong donor base that gives you that pipeline, and then it's not a guessing game anymore. Right? You're doing all the things that you need to do to make sure that you've got people that you can begin to build those relationships with. That's what makes this predictable. Something else about a system is that it reduces decision fatigue. How many times do you find yourself sitting there dealing with a problem, scratching your head, trying to figure out what to do next? Or around this time of year, right, as I talked about in the last episode, this is the time of year when we start talking about year-end gifts. And if you don't have a system in place, perhaps what you're doing is you're waiting and waiting and waiting until about now to draft and send your year-end appeal letter and hope that people are going to give. And you may struggle with the messaging. You may struggle with what to say, how to convey how the things have gone this year or what's coming up, right? And this may be the first and perhaps the only time during the year that you communicate with your donors en masse. And if you're in this situation, I get it. I understand it. I'm not here to scold you. I recognize that this is a reality for you. Could be a reality for you. It was a reality for me when I was an executive director. And so I needed to build a system that would help me focus on fundraising throughout the year and not just at this time of year. Because when you do it only in the fall leading up to December 31st, it becomes transactional, especially if that is the only time you're asking. So having a system reduces that fatigue that comes with making a decision about what to do next. Systems build habits. Systems build habits. Once you have a system in place, it becomes habitual. I want you to think about a assembly line for a car company. Now, I may ask you to go back a few decades before it was primarily run by machines and it was actually run by people. And the only way to get that car from being several parts that were over here, they needed to move down an assembly line in a particular order in order for that pile, if you will, of materials and electronics and tires and all those things to actually become a car, right? A system needed to be created in order for that to happen. And that system is so automatic that it was able to produce car after car after car. Now, of course, most of this is operated by machines. And I'm not certainly suggesting that you do that with fundraising, although there is something to be said for getting some assistance in terms of automating some things. But nevertheless, a system is necessary to help you finish what you start. And so, in order to build those habits, there has to be a system in place that creates the habits that gets you from here to here. So, at the beginning of a calendar year, beginning of a fiscal year, there are things that you should be engaged in that are part of a system that get you from here to here, that help you move individuals who have capacity in particular from becoming new donors into becoming, and coming to new donors through a transactional process, right? Then becoming relational donors so that they become start making transformational gifts and then making those transformational gifts year after year after year. See, major gifts typically don't get utilized until an organization is gearing up or in a capital campaign. And then when the campaign is over, we tend to let things relax and go back to the way things were. And we forget about the momentum that we build leading up to the campaign and then the campaign itself. And then we let things slide and we go back to the way things were. Your campaign had a system. Whether you brought in somebody to help you put that system together or you figured it out on your own, you had a system. That holds true during a regular year cycle without a capital campaign. So systems build habits, and those habits produce results that provide you with that significant revenue that you need to support the people that you serve. All lines, as you know, draw to that. Now, why are systems critical specifically for major gifts? Major gifts by themselves, they depend on consistency. Major donors depend on consistency, your consistency, your consistency in staying connected with them, your consistency in uh, meeting with them, calling them, keeping them informed, making sure they continue to feel like part of the fiber and the family of your organization. And that has to happen on a consistent basis. Because if you secure a gift, and I hear this often, you secure a big gift, especially if it's for a campaign, 5 figure, 6 figure, 7 figure gift, and then you go away and you don't reach out to that person again. You have just perhaps permanently damaged that relationship by not maintaining that consistency. It's going back to having those habits. Major gifts rely on consistency. Big gifts happen through intentional, repeated relational action. I'll say that again. Big gifts happen through intentional, repeated relational action, not last minute scrambles, not, oh my goodness, I need to call this person and invite them here, or, oh my gosh, it's October, it's November. I haven't talked to this person since last year. And now you want to solicit them for another 5 figure gift, 6 figure gift, whatever that may be. Systems are important. System helps you focus on the right donors. Oftentimes, you hear me talk about what the right donors or who the right donors are, right? And the criteria: link, interest, and ability. Link, interest, and ability. A link to your mission, interest, or link to your organization, right? Interest in your mission, and ability to make a major gift. However, you define a major gift, 1,000 or more, 2,500 or more. The or more is what's important. You have to do that. A system keeps this work alive even when you are the busiest, even when you've got other things that you have to do. Because if that system's in place, it's already a part of the fiber of your organization. Now, executive directors often default to whoever emails you that day, whatever's right in front of you. And that rises to the top of importance because it's right there in front of you. Maybe it's a crisis, maybe it's not. Maybe you need it to be a crisis so that it is a good opportunity for you to avoid this important work. Because let's face it, sometimes major gifts don't happen because we're avoiding something that may be difficult to us. And that's asking for that big gift. Because let's face it, and with most of the people I work with, that is the biggest challenge that they have, is that they are uncomfortable with the idea of asking for money. If you lean into a system, it will become much easier, along with some other things that you need to do to help you get beyond that. But a system does help you focus on the right donors. It ensures that you're prioritizing high capacity individuals who are aligned with your mission. And these are the ones that you're going to be soliciting transformational gifts from. And when you have a system in place, there's no more reinventing the wheel, right? Oh my gosh, what do I do? It goes back to that decision making fatigue, right? You don't have to reinvent something year to year. You can tweak it, you can fine tune, you can learn from it. But having that system in place is important. Now, why do executive directors or any nonprofit leader for that matter struggle with a system? Well, first of all, urgent tasks always seem to take over. Whatever is in front of you, you walk into your office, staff member hits you with this problem, or you get a phone call on the way in, or you get a phone call in the middle of the night, right? That takes over, trumps everything that you have planned. So if you don't have a system, or if you haven't systemized your fundraising, if you haven't systemized any important work, the urgent stuff will take over. And that can happen one day, which could lead to a whole week, which could lead to a month, which could lead to a year. And you wind up right here in November going, oh my goodness, all this time has gone by and I haven't done what I needed to do to secure these gifts, to ask for these gifts, right? Intuition does not equal process. Going on your gut alone is not a process. It's perfect. It's great in conversation, right? There's an art and science to this, right? The system is the science. The art is that intuitive nature that we have when we're in relationship and in conversation with people, because we're listening and we're paying attention, and we're not just talking about what we need, we're paying attention to what's important to the donor, and that is where our intuition comes in. But you have to have a system first, and the intuition can support that. But intuition alone is terrible for managing a long-term pipeline. And then finally, as part of why executive directors struggle without a system, is there's an emotional resistance. And without a system, major gift work feels big and intimidating. And so we resist it. I was talking about this a little bit earlier. There's a mindset that we have to overcome, and having a system in place helps you overcome that. See, systems shrink intimidation by breaking big goals into small, doable steps. There's that big, audacious thing that you need to get done. Little steps need to be taken to get there. Now, I have a system. I call it my relationship fundraising method. Um, It is a 6-step donor centered strategy designed to move individuals from being transactional givers into relational donors who make transformational gifts. And it's a system that if you follow it, you will be successful. Now, there are other systems out there, right? Whatever you decide to use it. Because at the end of the day, this is about making sure the people you serve have the resources that are needed to serve them best. Now, what a system actually gives an overextended executive director, there are a few things. Saves time, right? Creates accountability to yourself. It also creates accountability that you can use to report to your board. Makes that so much easier when you have a system because it's just a matter of you updating them on where things are in the system. Who you not, and you don't need to get into great detail, but the numbers, right? The number of people that you're talking to, how many asks you have out, totaling, this amount, what has come in. That momentum builds excitement. And by the way, it gets your board excited about assisting when you need them to door open for you because they know that you've got a system in place that's reliable because now you're going to follow up right on the people that they introduce you to and their credibility remains intact. See, sometimes volunteers or board members are reluctant to share the names of the people that they know who have capacity because they don't trust that you have a system and their credibility can be compromised as a result of that. But it saves time, it creates accountability, and it reduces stress. You got a system in place. It's like the machine, right? It does rely on you taking the necessary action. But once you have that system in place and it's built into the fiber of what you do on a regular basis, you'll be good to go. So I want to wrap this up by emphasizing the importance of a system, regardless of the size of your organization, whether you're uh, sort of a lone ranger as an executive director or you're part of a small team. Maybe you don't have fundraising support, but you do have other people in the organization, or maybe you do. A system is necessary regardless. And if you have a system, you'll have predictable major gift revenue. You'll have more meaningful donor relationships. You won't have any more feast or famine cycles. And clarity and confidence will rule the day. So if you don't have a system, you're going to be engaged in what I call random acts of fundraising. Oh my gosh, I got to get money for this. Oh my goodness, we've got this coming up. We need to go find a gift. Oh, let me go talk to this person, see if they'll give you 15,000 or 20,000 in order for like, and then you're just, reacting instead of being proactive, right? So random acts of fundraising, don't want to engage in that. Sporadic donor cultivation and consistent revenue and burnout, right? All of this can be a result of not having a system in place. Now, if you're interested in talking to me about my system, which is the relationship fundraising method, I encourage you to hit the link below. I do have a program, the Relationship Fundraising Academy, which has the course, the Relationship Fundraising Academy Master Course, which includes that system, the relationship fundraising method. You hit the link below for that. There'll be a series of questions that you'll have to answer. It's almost like an application for the program. And then you schedule a call with me and we can talk. I'm happy to do that. But I hope you found this helpful. I can't stress enough the importance of having a system in place, because at the end of the day, you know what I'm about to say. At the end of the day, this fundraising thing, it's not about the dollars. It's about what the dollars do for the people that you serve. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.